My name is Anna Biller, and I'm the director of The Love Witch.
I have only recently become aware of the work of Anna Biller, but I was recommended The Love Witch, and I was most impressed.
They're magic bottles. They're for protection against evil.
I knew nothing about this film or the filmmaker before watching it, and the first thing that struck me is just how good this film looks. I grabbed the Blu-ray box to check when it was released, and it's 2016. I thought, surely that is a mistake. That must be its re-release date. But no, this film was made in the last 10 years. I could have sworn this had fallen directly from the 1960s.
The Love Witch has what I would call a classic Hollywood studio style, the style that was in place sometime from the late 20s to the mid-60s, early 70s. It's a style that emphasized the glamour of the actors, how they looked more than anything else. And there was a lot of atmosphere and mood in these old films, but always had to be background to how the actors looked in the foreground. So that was sort of the general conception of how we'd approach this film, that it would have a certain amount of atmosphere and style, but that at the forefront would always be how glamorous the lead actress looked.
It's not just the cinematography, it's the makeup, it's the costumes, it's the production design, it's all stunning. Though this was made in the mid-2010s, this looks no different from an episode of I Dream of Jeannie or Bewitched. Here is Biller herself talking about a film which had great influence on her but I haven't seen, Po Dan, or Donkey Skin to give it its English title.
I think the formula that Jacques Demy uses, which is combining this beautiful magical fairy tale world with very dark and very realistic psychological material, is something that I use as a template for my own work.
In The Love Witch, the main character finds herself at a Renaissance fair, where she's involved in a show marriage. And if you look at the costumes and the lighting, this could have come directly from that Donkey Skin movie, or possibly an episode of the 1960s Batman.
Well, film is a visual medium, so I try to tell as much of my story visually as possible. And, my favorite films are films where you can understand the plot without even hearing the dialogue, like silent films and a lot of the classic films, which are so visual and the editing is so carefully done. And I just think of this is kind of what they call cinematic. So I try to use my sets and costumes and my colors and my lighting and everything all kind of as characters in the story.
This film was not only written and directed by Anna Biller, it was also produced, edited and scored. She also did the production and costume designs herself too. I can't think of anyone else that does all of that, with the exception of maybe Robert Rodriguez.
I believe, because I do so many different jobs, I've learned this over years. I remember when I was in 2002, I was like, how is it that I'm the production designer, the composer, which I don't even know how to read or write music, and I'm writing orchestral score, and I'm doing the editing, and I'm doing the cinematography. I haven't been trained for any of these. I never went to school for these specifically. Must be something about creativity. So I went on Amazon, it's 2002, I look up creative books. Anything that has creativity in the title, I just ordered it. And I've got a bunch of books on creativity. And I was reading them through. One of them was like really speaking to me. Yeah, that's it. That's the process. And then it says gels and mediums. And I'm like, oh, this is a book specifically about painting.
I haven't watched that interview through to the end because Lex Friedman, the host, sends me to sleep quicker than a cup of warm milk. But Rodriguez has a theory that creativity is just problem solving. And if you accept the challenge, you'll get further than you think.
La Chatte Blanche, Your Majesty, I am ravished by your charms. It is rapturous to be with you here at your palace, which is splendid beyond compare. But I can no longer live in this state of suspended ecstasy. Oh, become a girl, or make me a cat.
Before making her feature film debut, Anna made several short films, which are available directly from her website. The one that's currently on screen, called Fairy Ballet, has this wonderful dress-up feel to it, which reminds me of my 5-year-old niece running around playing princess.
Lucy, what does the...
Incubus?
Yes. What does the incubus look like?
It's always different. Sometimes it appears in the shape of a goat, or a cow, or a rat. Sometimes it appears in the shape of the devil himself, with cloven feet and horns.
There are also 2 more narrative-led shorts in the set, The Hypnotist and A Visit from the Incubus. I love the fact that there isn't the slightest attempt at realism, even down to the acting, where the lines are all delivered in this amusing deadpan monotone.
William is very spiritual-minded, Doctor, and no doubt means that he chooses not to distinguish between mental illness and divine inspiration. I'm not sure whether he isn't right at that.
This is actually a really clever choice to make, because it is clearly stylized and deliberate, but it also masks any bad or wooden performances.
I don't think I've found my Prince Charming yet, but I think I found the formula. You know, I've been studying parapsychology, and I understand men so much better than I used to. If only I would have known before what I know now.
I'm not sure if the script for The Love Witch follows typical story archetypes or even a 3-act structure. It just feels so different from any other film I've seen for years, and proud of it. The only other filmmaker who puts this amount of artistry into their work is Wes Anderson.
When you're writing a story, it often feels less like you're doing architecture and more like you're doing excavation, like it's something that already exists. And we're just unearthing it, and you know it's right because it just is.
After I watched The Love Witch, I thought I have to watch more of this filmmaker's work. But because she does everything on her movies, that means production is slow. The Love Witch was her second feature film, and most recent at time of recording in 2025. Billa's first movie came out 9 years before The Love Witch, in 2007, and was titled Viva.
Meet Barbie, your typical suburban housewife. She has a loving husband named Rick, whom she spoils with her gourmet cookie. A sexy, fun-loving neighbor, Sheila, with her dashing actor husband, Mark. So what is Barbie Smith missing? Could it be adventure? Could it be glamour? Or could it be raw animal sex? Welcome, Barbie Smith, to the sexual revolution.
Viva is a 1960s-style sexploitation film, or maybe a spoof of one. The line is blurred. And in this film, like her shorts before it, Anna Billa stars.
I like to have a theatrical atmosphere on my sets. Barbara the prop girl was also in a dress and makeup. Atmosphere is very important when you're shooting, as it puts the actors in the mood. It makes them feel like they're transported back to another time.
The story of this film is more down to earth. But then I guess most films are compared to A Witch Looking for Love. It's about 2 women leaving their husbands and becoming sexually liberated.
What's the matter, baby? I mean, you came here to get it on with me, right? So why waste time?
This one feels much more like a Russ Meyer movie, with the large amount of nudity, the hard light and the cartoonish characters. But it is slower than his work. If Meyer made it, it would have been 85 minutes. Viva is 2 hours, and that's probably its biggest downfall. At times, it drags.
I'm not really interested in male fantasy in film. I'm interested in comprehensive stories that include women a little bit more, and especially in female fantasy. When I start to detect misogyny in a movie, it kind of ruins the movie for me. I completely lost interest in male gaze movies a really long time ago, even before I started making films.
I've heard the phrase male gaze several times recently, and I'll be honest, I'm not really sure what it means. When I asked around, Michael Bay's Transformers was often cited as a prime example of the male gaze, with its unnecessary shots of Megan Fox bending over. But is that not there to show Shia LaBeouf's attraction to her? I mean, it doesn't make the film any better, but it is there for a reason. ChatGPT suggested that Lost in Translation was a good example of the female gaze, which I might remind you opens on a close-up of a woman's bottom. Before we have even seen the woman's face or know her name, we have seen Scarlett Johansson's butt cheeks, who was 17 at the time of filming. When Woody Allen makes a film about a 42-year-old, 10 years younger than Murray, dating a 17-year-old, then that's apparently creepy. And you never see her in her knickers in Manhattan. I watched the French film Jeanne Dielman this week, as it was voted #1 in BFI's greatest film list, and apparently it takes a bold, concise feminist stance. It's 3 hours of a woman doing housework. I'm not sure how that's feminist. Alien, the Ridley Scott film, can be legitimately read as feminist, but of course it's directed by a man. But is that all you need for your film not to feature the male gaze? Does that mean the film Point Break utilises the female gaze because it was directed by a woman? Anna Billa's film Viva features just as much nudity as any Russ Meyer movie, And when put side to side, I doubt you'll be able to tell me the difference. I don't think gaze has much to do with it, assuming you're using the word gaze to mean a steady, intent look. The difference is the writing. Woody Allen's Manhattan is from Isaac's perspective, Lost in Translation is from Charlotte's. But also to muddy the water, Alien is from Ellen Ripley's point of view. But then Ellen Ripley was originally written as a male character. This is why I don't have much time for people using films, or any art for that matter, to drive political messages. They are much better judged on if they are good or if they are bad.
I think like being a film student and having all this anxiety about, it's sort of being politically incorrect to do glamour or to do all these things that may have seemed retrogressive. I just thought, actually, it's not retrogressive. What it is it's female. And it's not even necessarily like it's female in a bad way. It's just female. It's just about being a female. These movies are about what it is to be a female. And it's just all the different like kaleidoscopic aspects of it. So it isn't really whether it's about, for me, it's not about exploitation if I'm talking about myself, right? If I'm talking about myself, my own sexuality, my own interests, my own desires, that's not exploitation. It's like, it's the way a man looks at it. The way a man looks at nudity, the way a man looks at glamour. I mean, even in those movies from the 30s, like you take a Busby Berkeley movie, which I love Busby Berkeley. I don't love it because it's got nude women and I want to have sex with them. I love it because it's got the glamour and the pleasure and the fantasy and the sets and the compositions and all the things that I take from it. So those movies were designed to give one thing to women and one thing to men. So the men are like lusting after the nudity, and the women are putting themselves inside of the characters, and they're having pleasure at being a subject in a movie and not an object.
Yeah, it makes less sense to me the more I hear it, which might speak more about me than the films. But I'm sure if my name were on the directing credits of Love Witch or Viva, I would be told that I was leering. But because it's Anna's name, it is not. Let's just assume that I'm at fault. I've always found it easy to separate art from artist, which makes me the strange one in this day and age. So let's move on, but I do recommend that you watch that interview in full without my obtuse interruptions. I'll leave a link below.
Okay, cut. That was nice. That was very nice, Chad. Okay.
Like a used piece of meat.
Chad feels objectified, but he's a good sport. The shot's on my face now, and I use a stand-in to make sure to get a flattering angle.
This way a little bit around the back.
I really like Viva and The Love Witch, whatever the motivations for making them were. I just think they're good films. It's actually exciting to have a filmmaker who's currently working, whose films you're looking forward to seeing. In 2022, she announced that she was making a horror film titled The Face of Horror. And seeing that our current rate of release is about one film every 10 years, that means it's going to come out soon. No details about the plot have been announced, but I'll be sure to check it out as soon as it's released.
I agree that most horror films are too male-dominated, and that's one reason why I want to contribute to the genre.
If you have enjoyed this video, click all the like and share buttons you can find. If you can explain what is and isn't the male gaze, then please do so in the comments. And if you would like to support me making content like this, then you are in the minority. And minorities like that should be protected. So you can send me a one-time donation via this site. I hope our paths will cross again. I'm Scott Kingsnorth, and I'm making a movie.